Okay, we have an NFL wildcard round power rankings. So I'm going to be ranking every single playoff team. So at number 14, I have the Pittsburgh Steelers. To me, probably the weakest of all the playoff teams. Their offense isn't really anything special. Mason Rudolph hasn't been bad lately. Rudolph hasn't been bad, but that offense just isn't that overly explosive. Like their offensive line's not that good, and their defense, which overall hasn't even been that good this season, they lost T.J. Watt, their best player. So Pittsburgh Steelers definitely not looking great for them. They do have a great coach in Mike Tomlin, but that team is just not that talented. And number 13, I have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I really like them, but they really have not been playing good lately. Um, their offense can be very, very explosive with Baker Mayfield, who is having a great season, Chris Godwin, Mike Evans, Ricardo White, who hasn't been that bad, but they kind of lost a little bit of momentum those last 2 weeks. But their defense isn't that good, and any good offense in the playoffs should be able to dice up that defense. And ultimately, defense wins championships. So Tampa Bay is number 13. Number 12, I have the Green Bay Packers. To me, they're just way too young of a team to make a huge push in the playoffs. They definitely have potential for next season and the season after that. But for right now, I think their offense is just way overly young. They don't have that veteran guy and the skill position player. Don't get me wrong, that offense is good. Jordan Love is playing out of his mind, and Aaron Jones can have an occasional breakout team, but I don't know how they'll handle the pressure. And that defense is a Joe Barry-led defense that's just not that good. Not horrible because of talent, but just not that good. So I don't think they're a serious threat. But if everything goes right and their offense isn't afraid of the lights, they could have a potential, but I just don't see it. So I have them at number 12. Number 11, I have the Philadelphia Eagles. They lost to the Giants, and they just have no momentum whatsoever heading into the playoffs. They've won 1-5 their last 6 games after starting off 10-1, and their team does not look good at all. Their defense just gotten worse. Like I said, their defensive line I thought was really talented, hasn't been doing great. Their secondary, especially, is just can't stop anything. And their offense is getting more banged up. AJ Brown got injured. Jalen Hurts got injured. Like their team is not looking good. They have no momentum heading in the playoffs, and that's not good for them at all. And number 10, I have the Houston Texans. Similar to the Packers, I think they're just too young of a team, not enough experience for them to make it deep. D'Amico Ryans is a very, very good coach, so maybe he can get them through, but he's also a rookie head coach. That offense, CJ Stroud looking really good, Nico Collins. Outside of that, I don't really have much though, but those two alone make a really explosive offense. But that defense, I don't think is ready for the bright lights. They haven't been horrible, but they haven't been great. But I think they will be a liability against most of these better offenses. Number 9, I have the Miami Dolphins. It's the injuries and them also losing momentum after losing the AFC East. They definitely have potential to go farther than the team below them with people like Waddle and Mostert coming back. The offense still explosive if they face one of the not so good defenses. Um, but I don't know if I can trust their offense yet. But they still have Tyreek Hill, so and Mostert should be playing back, so their offense will always be a threat. And but that defense hasn't been that has been pretty good lately, outside of a couple games. But those injuries on the outside linebacker slash edge position, I think is really detrimental for them. And they're just too injured right now, and I don't know if they're a team to build in the playoffs. The number 8, I have the LA Rams. Definitely a team that's getting hot coming into the playoffs. They won against the 49ers with mostly backups. Matthew Stafford's been playing great this last month. Puka's been playing great. The offense is looking great, and their defense, even with the, has not played bad. They're definitely a very, very dangerous team, but their defense do lack a little bit of star power despite how good they're playing, which could or may not get exposed. And the Rams team isn't just overly talented, which is keeping them a little bit lower. Number 7, I have the Kansas City Chiefs. Um, Outside of their wide receivers dropping passes, their team is not that bad. Their defense overall is really, really good and should carry them in this playoffs. Their offense, Mahomes is still there. The offensive line isn't horrible. Pacheco's a very good running back, but then you always have those wide receivers which are really bad and hold them back. But as long as long as the Kansas City Chiefs don't play from behind or get into any high scoring game, they could be a threat for the Super Bowl. But if they need to pass or it's a super high shootout, I'm worried for the Chiefs. And number 6, I have the Buffalo Bills. They're another team that's getting hot at the right time. They won the AFC East. Um, their defense has been playing like outstanding. Their defense has definitely been one of the best. But it's their offense. I know their offense can be very good. Hopefully they turn it around. But ever since that Dallas game, their offense has not clicked. Josh Allen's even winning had again 3 turnovers. He did make it up with a game-winning touchdown. But he can't play like that in the playoffs forever. But they're still a threat, especially if Josh Allen and James Cook turn it around. They could definitely make a run for the Super Bowl. Number 5, I have the Cleveland Browns. Team very talented. Defense great. Their defense can definitely carry them to the Super Bowl. Myles Garrett is healthy. Their linebacker secondary really good as well. Good coaching as well. Offense, Amari Cooper should be back. They have one of the better offensive lines. Definitely a very well-rounded team that can beat anybody. Only thing is Joe Flacco. Not sure how well he's gonna play. He's been outstanding, but not. Playoffs are a very different story. He does have a ton of experience, which should be good, but they're a very boomer bust team for me. Number 4, I have the Detroit Lions, another team that I think is very boomer bust for the Super Bowl. Like I said, their defense is very talented. They have very good coaching, but at times they're very inconsistent. Their offense can be good or bad. Not sure if I trust Goff can win them the game. They have a very great duo of running backs, and I think I'd like the Lions to win the Super Bowl a lot more if they weren't playing the LA Rams, which is a team that I could see beating the Lions. But for now, I still have the Lions at 4. Number 3, I have the Dallas Cowboys. Definitely one of the most well-rounded team, especially at home, and they should have home field advantage until the NFC Championship game. Their defense, led by Micah Parsons, has been great. Ram Bland has 9 interceptions this year. They've been shutting opponents down, especially at home. And their offense, Dak, in MVP considerations. Pollard hasn't been great, so he needs to get better in the playoffs. But regardless, that offense is super explosive with a very good pass rushing defense, so I expect them to go far. Number 2, I have the San Francisco 49ers. They won the first round bye, but that might be a negative thing. But regardless of that, they definitely have one of the most talented teams. Their defense, Fred Warner, Ward, Bosa, one of the most talented defense. And in order to go far in the playoffs, you need a good defense. Offensively, just as much talent in Kittle, Debo, Purdy. I still have to wonder about how well Purdy does in the playoffs and under pressure and in the big games. But really, other than that, they look like a team destined for the Super Bowl. And number 1, you obviously have the Baltimore Ravens, another team that got the first round bye. They just look like a Super Bowl team right now. Lamar Jackson's is playing at an MVP level. The running game, despite all the injuries, is still number 1 in rushing. Offensive line has been great. They don't really have any significant injuries that they need to overcome recently in the last 1-2 weeks. Their defense lights out. Cornerbacks definitely a little bit of a worry, but other than that, linebacker has been punishing. They have a great duo of linebackers. Defensive line has been good. Kyle Hamilton has been one of the best safeties. They definitely look like the favorite to win the Super Bowl right now. So there you have it, my NFL wildcard round power rankings.